know, she used
I'm going to call this meeting to order, the Pasadena Independent School District Board of Trustees in regular session on Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 1515 Cherrybrook, Pasadena, Texas, at 5:02?
5:32. Yes.
That's what I mean, 5:32. And my pen has a
Little cap on it.
Yeah. Okay, 5:32 p.m. Board members present: Ms. Nelda Sullivan, Mr. Casey Phelan, Mr. Kenny Fernandez, Ms. Crystal Davila, Ms. Paola Gonzalez Fusilier, Mr. Marshall Kendrick, and myself, Vicki Morgan. No board members are absent. We'd also like to recognize Mr. David Hodgins, friend of the district, friend for many, many years at the firm of Thompson and Horton, and Mr. John Roebuck.
He'll be here later.
Okay. Let the record indicate that a quorum of board members is present. Why am I getting feedback?
I don't know that we can survive on this sound system much longer. It's a good thing we're getting a new one.
Let the record indicate that now it's not working. That a quorum of board members is present. This meeting is duly called, and that notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, section Texas Government Code, section. Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I'm getting ahead of myself. The invocation, Mr. Kendrick, will you give the invocation? Mr. Phelan, the pledges to the flag. Will you please stand?
Would you pray with me? Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the slight rain we've gotten today. We need so much. We thank you for this district. We thank you for its leadership. We thank you for the success that it continues to have in letting our students reach their success. And we encourage that, and we provide programs, and people work awful hard to make sure that it happens. We pray this summer that our teachers and faculties will get some rest and have a great summer, as well as our students and their families. We pray for our country. We pray that we might turn and seek your will, and you heal our land. Father, pray especially today for Missy Messenger, going through a series of tests, and she's waiting for some answers. And we just lift that whole family up to you for your guidance, for your grace, and for your strength. Now bless this time tonight that we might have discernment and do your will. And thank you for all the effort that's gone in to prepare this meeting. In your name we ask it. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
We're going to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer employee concerning matters related to the superintendent's recommendations to hire administrative personnel and/or the superintendent's recommendations related to renewals, non-renewals, and terminations of contracts for professional personnel. 551.071 to consult with the district's attorneys concerning matters on which the attorney's duty to the district under the Code of Professional Responsibility clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act. To seek the advice of its attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer, and or to consider legal advice regarding items specifically listed on the agenda. 551.072 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. We will return at 7 p.m. The board is going to reconvene in open session at 7 o'clock p.m. I welcome each of you to the regular call board meeting of the Board of Trustees. Glad you're here. And some of you probably have very special reasons to be here. At this point in time, we have special recognition, and I'd like to ask Mr. Marshall Kendrick to come forward.
I'm wondering what it was.
Mr. Kendrick has served us for the past year as board president. He always, it's my honor and privilege to give this to you, Marshall. If you look in the dictionary under the word integrity, you'll find Marshall's name. He is a very integral man. I'm glad to call him friend, and I thank you for your service to this district all these years, for being my friend. You're just a great guy. Okay. Public comments, we have none for comments related to items on the agenda. So we're going to move to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Kendrick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Moving to personnel section, consideration and possible approval of administrative personnel. And I am going to ask Ms. Sullivan, who is chairman of the Personnel Committee, if she'll make that motion.
Madam President, I move that we approve addendum A through H to the personnel section.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Fusilier. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Ms. Sullivan, will you introduce those to us?
It would be my pleasure. Paula Denise Carter. Here she is. Ms. Carter's been approved for the position of educational diagnostician in special education. And you are coming back home.
I am.
We're delighted that you made that decision. And do you have family and guests with you tonight?
I do. I have my oldest daughter and my grandson, Kirsten.
Oh.
I have my daughter, Kaylee, who also works for the district. And I have my niece, Ashley, who also works for the district.
Great. They must have had some influence on you. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to be back.
Great.
We're glad to have you back. Courtney Moore.
There she is.
Ms. Moore has been approved for the position of educational diagnostician in special education. You're new to our district, so welcome. We're delighted to have you.
Happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Do you have family with you?
It's just myself tonight.
Well, you have a whole family now. Our next special event is Shirley Rue. Ms. Rue could not be here tonight, but she's been approved for the position of educational diagnostician in special education. So when you see her, tell her how glad we are to have her. Sheila Green Wilburn. Congratulations. You're returning to our district also. Welcome back. Ms. Wilburn has been approved for the position of educational diagnostician in special education. We're glad to have you back. And do you have family with you?
I do. I have my husband here, my 4-boy,
Great.
and I have my previous family.
Well, we're glad to have you back in Pasadena. Felicia Williams. Ms. Williams has been approved for the position of licensed specialist in school psychology in special education. And she is with our district now, but she's moving up the ladder. So, do you have family with you tonight?
I have my husband of 3 weeks.
Well, congratulations.
On both.
On both, yes. Lauren Aragon. Ms. Aragon has been approved for the position of Specialist of Innovation and Development with Curriculum and Instruction, and she is moving back. She's So we're delighted to have you back in our district, back home. Do you have a guest with you tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I have my husband, my parents, and my two brothers, his girlfriend Morgan, and my grandparents.
How wonderful. And we're delighted to have you back. And Kevin Fox. Mr. Fox has been approved for the position of Assistant Principal at Meadow Elementary. We're delighted. And you are presently employed within our district, so you're moving up the ladder also. And do you have family with you?
I do have my wife, Stephanie, and then I have my 5 children right here. Julia, Caleb, Blake, Simon, Andy, Olivia, and my parents, in-law, and Anita, my wife's parents.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And congratulations to you, and congratulations on all of your wonderful children.
Thank you. Thank you to the board for this opportunity, and thank you as well to my new family at Meadow and my old family in Testa. Ms. Chavez and Mr. Pavone and Aaliyah Carroll and Dr. Farmer for all their input along the way. Thank you.
Well, thank you for those kind words.
Well, now it's time to get to work.
We got one more.
No,
Oh, we got one more. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Shelley Tillman. Shelley has been approved for the position of Assistant Principal at Beverly Hills Intermediate. And she also is moving up the ladder in our district. Congratulations to you. And you have family with you?
Yes, ma'am. First, I want to say thank you to the board for this opportunity. Thank you to all my colleagues, all my friends, staff, and everybody. I have my parents here with me, Byron and Janita Christmas. I have my husband, who's also a product of Pasadena.
Wonderful.
And my kids, Marley and Kai.
Wonderful. Did I get everyone called? It was supposed to be called tonight. Congratulations to each and every one of you, and I know that you're excited, and we're all excited for you.
If you
And that
just
concludes-
moved into the district, it's the best district around. There's no doubt. So certainly if you're here, you already know that. So anyway, let's move to consideration and possible approval of T-Test Teacher Appraisal Calendar 2022-2023 and local procedures.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. There's two items of for information only, certified personnel and support personnel. The board does not take action on either of those items. If you came for administrative personnel recommendations and vote, you're certainly welcome to leave now, or we certainly encourage you to stay if you want to stay for the meeting. But you're welcome to leave if you would like to do so.
It's called the vacating time.
She's doing a presentation.
Can't see?
I'm trying to find that.
find a place you can get out of it, huh?
Yeah. Now I see why it was over here. Is she ready or? Yeah. She should be ready.
Jennifer, are you ready to begin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, we have an update on the early college high school, and Ms. Bushley is going to be presenting. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, these are all our deans here. All our deans from early college.
Oh, awesome.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Bushley. I'm the Early College Coordinator for the district. I'm here to provide an update on the growth and success of the ECHS program, as well as provide some insight on the challenges and impact of the COVID pandemic. On behalf of the ECHS team, I'd like to start off by expressing our sincere appreciation to the board and Dr. Powell for your continued support of ECHS. We'd also like to thank the numerous district and campus personnel who contribute to the success of ECHS students every day. Uh-oh, that's not working. The clicker's not working.
Sorry. Tech guys down here.
Phoning a friend.
Sorry, phone friend. Yeah, the clicker's not working.
I understand we have the deans from the early college high school here. Thank y'all for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, guys. So I just wanted to start off with a little background for the new board members and a recap of the planning and vision that took place up until now. So in 2011, we started with PECS, our first early college, and of course they will always be the trailblazers. In 2014, the community voted on a school bond to add early colleges to the remaining comprehensive high schools. In 2017, we began with freshmen at those high schools, and in 2021, we graduated our first senior class. We've had lots of growth, so since 2017, 8th graders have submitted between 900 and 1,300 applications each year, and we accept about 625 freshmen each year. Many siblings are enrolled, and even some parents have been inspired by their students to continue their education as a result of ECHS, and out-of-district students have even returned or moved into the PISD school zone, particularly at South Houston. This is just a little graph of the enrollment. So as you can see, from about 50 students in 2011 to over 2,000 in 2022. And we hope to get back up to the 2021 range next year or year after. Just a little glimpse of the student population. About 70% of our students are first generation, and this is self-reported on the application that we provide, and 80% economically disadvantaged, and about 50% of our freshmen have never taken an honors course prior to enrollment. And then one thing too, that just a reminder is that our students have to be college ready by the end of 10th grade in order to progress to 11th grade at San Jacinto. This is just some college-ready data. So as you can see, grade 9, 10th, 11th, and 12th, all 5 high schools. The 9th grade numbers is these students, this is the first time, they've only taken the test a couple of times in 9th grade, and it's been a new test, so it's the TSI-2. And also, I think that this chart kind of shows the work that takes place between 9th and 10th grade to get those students college ready. So very good work happening. Also with math, as you know, math is a little more challenging, so it takes students a little longer to get college ready. And students don't have to be college ready in math to go on to San Jacinto, but they do have to be college ready in math in order to earn the full associate degree. So good data here, lots of hard work from the deans, counselors, teachers, avid teachers. It's amazing. I want to back up just a little bit to talk about the school within the school model. And that's something that PISD, it's an incredible. So if we were at the Olympics, the level of difficulty for what we're doing would be off the charts. 9th and 10th grade students attend their home high school campus, and then the 11th and 12th grade students are at Central and South, and they're able to participate in fine arts and athletics. We provide transportation, and this quote here at the bottom is actually from our TEA coach. She believes that we have the best example of scaling up and implementation of a school within the school model in the state. This is some data on the college course pass rates. So as you can see, our students, they've really maintained a high level of passing even throughout COVID. So in the fall of 2020, those were all online classes, all online through San Jacinto. So I feel like this shows that they still continue to maintain a high level of passing. Before I get to the 11th and 12th grade data, it's important to highlight the transition to Sanjak. So that 10th to 11th grade transition is crucial. And these are just some of the things that we look at in order to make good decisions for students. The entire team looks at each student and makes sure that they're ready to progress to Sanjak. We have to look at their academic standing. In some cases, we reduce their course load in order to be able to keep them in the program. We try to keep as many students as possible. And it's hard to compare apples to apples, so this is just some data on the number of students in 11th and 12th grade who've passed all their college courses, because in 9th grade, they only take one college course each year. In 11th and 12th, they're taking 3 or 4 college classes each year, and they're advanced classes. So again, this shows the good work that's being done. And a reminder for Central, this is Central and South data, so we have 3 campuses that feed into Sanjak Central and 2 that feed into Sanjak South. And just an overall summary of the COVID pandemic, the impact of COVID. Of course, enrollment is a little dip in enrollment. The online classes, the fact that most of our students, all of their students were taking online classes in the fall of 2020, and then many of them were still online, and some are still online even now. I think that says a lot about the perseverance and the resiliency of the students, but also the staff and how much work they put into supporting students. And of course, the number of associate degrees, we would like to see that number higher, but again, the first graduating class was right in the middle of the pandemic. And then just a couple of other things that the state or Sanjak threw in there to make things interesting was changing the format, the different tests, and then also changing the degree plans right in the middle. Here's the number of associate degrees. So in 2021, our first, in 2015, we had 23, and so you can kind of see each year we got a few more with PECs, and then in 2021, we had 344 associate degrees, and in 2022, we had 290. And we had even more seniors than that number, but even the seniors who don't get their full associate degree, they will graduate with a lot of college hours, at least 42 or more, which are core complete, and so those hours will automatically transfer to a university. And for us, it's not about just checking the box for the associate degree. That's a great number, but it's also about making sure that it's a good degree and that all of those hours are transferring to a university towards a bachelor's degree. And that's unique, because not all early colleges in the state do that or focus on that.
Is that dip in number, do you think, because of COVID?
Yes, for sure. For sure. And really, and that's it. I just wanted to say, we want to say thank you to you guys. Appreciate your support, Dr. Powell, Dr. Hickman, all of the departments in PISD that help make ECHS a success. And we hope to be able to share more good news with you in the coming years. And thank you.
You guys are awesome. Thank you for what you do for kids, because it does make a difference in their lives. Your numbers show it. We're changing lives by what you guys are doing, and it is certainly appreciated.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
I think that first class of graduates and seeing the parents' joyous expressions, I will never forget. And we owe a thank you to our community for voting for us to implement this procedure. And it's something that is seen in other districts in the state. So thank you so much to you and all of the team for everything that you do. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. What we're doing here in Pasadena is
Unique.
Unique. It really is. Thank you guys so
Jennifer.
much.
Thank you.
Next is consideration and possible approval of the school affiliation agreement between Pasadena ISD and Memorial Hermann Health System at a cost of $2,979.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval for creating an academic pentathlon elective with a local PEMS number for intermediate students.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Fusilier. Discussion?
Will this be offered at all the intermediate schools, Dr. Powell?
So right now, this is Bondi Intermediate, but once this, of course, is approved, they would have that PEMS number available to them if they wanted to add that. Great. But this fall, it'll just be Bondi.
Fine, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion?
I have a question. Is this going to kind of fall into decathlon at some point in time?
So we've always been involved in pentathlon, however, they have to do it before or after school for their practices or on the weekends. So this gives them a period and, of course, a PEMS code for credit for elective course for taking this. So we've had high numbers in pentathlon. In fact, I sit on the decathlon board, and Pasadena ISD is one of the biggest pentathlon districts in Texas. So we've got some great teams out there. Got some principals that were here earlier of those teams, but they've left, so.
Absolutely.
But so is that going to,
Those kids are prepared for that next level to go into,
I guess my question is, in high school, are we going to be looking at something like this?
they have a course. They already have a course that they can take.
So does this require an additional teacher, or how is that?
So the coach, I guess she's making a room in her schedule. Joe's not here, but she's probably making room in the schedule of that teacher to teach that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So not an additional teacher, but
Okay.
they have to free up a period.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval for creating a robotics elective with a local PEMS number for intermediate students.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
Is this a new teacher position at all the intermediates?
So no, this would also be a teacher that's currently on staff that they'd be freeing up time in their schedule to be able to cover this class.
Awesome.
Is it for every intermediate school?
So the course, not, but the program, yes, correct? So robotics would be a club at the other campuses. So she's actually building it into her schedule.
Okay.
Bringing up our expert. Here we go.
What you're saying is correct, but what she's trying to do is we have a lot of kids who have an intervention period for areas that they need to double up on math or ELA or just to shore up some skills. But this is for the kids who don't need that, but we want to advance them. So it's an enrichment or extension course that we're adding to the schedule so that they have something really meaningful during that time period.
How many campuses are involved in Scarcella's intermediate robotics? Is it all 10?
I believe it's all 10. He just sent me those numbers.
They're up.
They're way up.
Fantastic program.
At middle, in every area, and he's trying to go up another 25% in elementary this
That's
coming year.
Awesome.
That's great.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the participation data sharing and requirements agreement with Texas College Bridge for 2022 through 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Phelan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. We have pulled agenda item number 6, so we're moving to consideration and possible approval of the Partnership Support Agreement with Communities and Schools, Southeast Harris County, for the 2022-2023 school year in the amount of $394,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Fusilier. Discussion?
Have we dropped any schools from previous years?
So I don't believe we've dropped any schools, Gloria, but we have added those 5 crisis specialists, so we're excited about that. But do you want to say if any schools dropped off the list as far as participation?
We have not dropped any, but we have added 5 additional crisis specialists to be able to have crisis specialists at every single high school. Okay?
That's great. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of an interlocal agreement between Pasadena ISD and the University of Houston, go Cougs, for 3 years whereby Pasadena High School will serve as a clinical preceptor internship site for the University of Houston students in the Master of Athletic Training Program at no cost.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Phelan. Discussion?
I saw we had our trainers here, so thank y'all for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, guys.
Did we go after them, or did they come after us?
Mutual discussions,
Troy's going to make you come to the mic. Sorry about that. And I don't know if the board's met you, so will you just say your title?
Absolutely. My name's, I'm not Jeremy Jackson. My name's Matt Thomas. I'm the district athletic trainer for Pasadena.
We stole him.
Celebrating my first year here in Pasadena. So, University of Houston, along with the Pasadena High School athletic training staff, had a relationship because they would help and assist with the mass CPR training that they would do at Pasadena High. And Ms. Sophia Mata, who's the assistant athletic trainer at Pasadena, she's a product of the U of H program. And so she sought an opportunity to where they could act as a preceptor site for that master's program. And the University of Houston needing and looking for other opportunities for their master's students to get experience at the high school level, where they can see a breadth of sports and experiences that they may not get when they go to just the different college settings. It was a great opportunity for their students, but also for our athletic training staff to be able to showcase the wonderful things happening at Pasadena High School.
That's awesome.
The reason why I ask is because I know they have a great staff over there at Pasadena High School, but we also have others, 4 other schools.
Certainly.
Are we able to plug those guys into it, or do they have other programs?
So right now, they're going to, look at, essentially almost like a piloting it at Pasadena High, and with the possibility that we could look to expand it and build upon that relationship as it grows through that. So in my previous district I came from, they piloted it at one of the high schools and then added it to the high school where I was the next year. So,
awesome.
And we had it, it's still going on today. So it's a great opportunity, and if there's, if it's a good mutual relationship, it could certainly grow into something where we see it at our other campuses as well.
Good, okay, great, thanks.
Okay.
Awesome things happening
you.
in Pasadena ISD.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's, all in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the interlocal agreement between the Pasadena Independent School District, Harris County Community Youth Services to provide a youth service specialist for the summit. Total cost is $42,088.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the upgrade and extension of the Microsoft Enrollment for Education Solutions, EES, agreement with Dell EMC for an additional cost of $63,924 for the 2021-2022 budget year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
So board members, remember we talked about cybersecurity and needing to tighten some things up to get that insurance? So these are some of those steps you're going to see in this agenda item and the next one to do just that.
It's awesome.
If I can ask on, then I guess, I don't know if I should wait till the next one, but how do these coincide with each other, or are they completely separate?
That would be an Arthur or Melissa question, so whoever wants to come up, please do so. You don't want me explaining technology, so we'll just get her up there.
I didn't see Arthur either.
Well, they work together and they provide two different types of protection for the district. The add-on for this one that you're looking at is going to help protect against all those kinds of spam and phishing emails that we get that really just open us up to a lot. And then it's also going to help protect with email remediation and things like that. Would you like me to speak to the other one while I'm up here, or you want to wait till we get to it?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, the second one is multi-factor authentication, and our cybersecurity insurance is requiring that we have that as part of our program. Think of it just like when you sign on to your banking. You might have experienced that personally at home. This is going to do that for just the adults in the district, and only with several different solutions, such as our email, which is important to protect, as well as our class link, and if we sign on from at home or off the network.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, on the first recommendation, which is the upgrade the extension of Microsoft Enrollment for Education Services, EES, with Dell EMC for an additional cost, $63,924. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the purchase of a 3-year subscription to Cisco Duo for educational institutions from NetSync Network Solutions for the cost of $249,782, paid in 3 annual installments of $83,260.80.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving to the financial section. Consideration and possible approval of the budget amendments for May 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Phelan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of an order authorizing the issuance of Pasadena ISD unlimited tax refunding bonds in one or more series, setting certain parameters for the bonds, authorizing a pricing officer to approve the amount, the interest rate, price, including the terms thereof, authorizing an extension of the liquidity agreement and certain other procedures and provisions related thereto.
So board
John,
members,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our friends from Bach Financials, as you said, Mr. Roebuck is here and he can introduce his other partners that are here tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Powell, President, board members of the board. Again, John Roebuck with BOK Financial Securities, financial advisor of the district. Rick Whitty and Tanya Fisher with Orrick, Harrington, and Sutcliffe. Their bond counsels here. They're the ones that actually wrote all those words for the agenda item. A little tongue-tied there. We have a couple of things we're going to go over tonight. If you don't mind, we actually have an opportunity to sell your first round of bonds from your May election that you successfully passed. Congratulations. And then also, we have a refunding opportunity later in the year to save some money for the taxpayers. And then we have basically the 2005 bonds that were issued. We also did a swap on those bonds. We have to do some action on that this year because there's some things that are changing. Libor, which is one of the rates that the swap trades upon, is going away in 2023, and also your liquidity agreement is expiring at the end of this year. So we have some options I want to go through with you, and we think it'd be better to probably try to terminate that swap if the market is able to, or allows us to do it and actually save some money. But before I get going, let's go. Oops, did I hit the wrong button here? I guess I did. Did I do that right? Guess not. Sorry about that.
Help is on the way.
You had it and lost it, huh?
I just pushed the
Sounds like me.
I pushed the wrong button, I guess. Oh, I did. I should have pushed left, right?
I don't feel like
There we go. Thank you. There we go. This is the bond buyer index, and this is the weekly average in the municipal bond market. On the far right there, you'll see the current rate is the 3.57. We've seen a spike in the rates, as you probably know, from the economy, economic conditions, inflation fears, cost of gasoline. And so we've seen a huge spike here, but we're still well below historical average, about 56 basis points below the average. So we're still in a great market to sell bonds. And in our planning for the bond election, we did assume some very conservative rates. So we're still within those rates when we sell these bonds. And so we think we're in a great place to do that. And also, later in the year, we put some cushion in the refunding in addition to these rates, and we still can generate some savings, but we'll go through that in a second. Let's go through the past. In the past, you all have issued 9 refunding bonds since 2012 and saved over $63 million in savings for taxpayers. You've also done some cash defeasance or prepayment programs, 2 of those in the past, that saved an additional $10.8 million for a total of $73.8 million since 2012 for taxpayers. So the last 10 years, you've saved almost $74 million for taxpayers. And then this sheet here shows all the debt issues you have outstanding. You have 10 bond issues outstanding, and these are the call dates and the amount of bonds you have outstanding for those 10 bond issues. And what's more important there is you have flexibility with this. So the next 3 years, you have a little over $202 million of bonds you can refund with hopefully at lower interest rates and lock in some savings for taxpayers. So you have some flexibility to manage the tax rate going forward with this bond program and with these refunding opportunities. This is the first bond sale from the 2002, or I guess May election cycle. We are showing $125 million in proceeds being generated by selling $121.5 million in bonds over 30 years. Right now, in current interest rates, we're assuming about a 4.35% interest rate. I think when we get to sell, because of your name, because your underlying ratings are AA plus and AA2, or AA and AA2, excuse me, with a AAA rating for the PSF, you will be able to get a lower rate than that, but this is to show conservative what the numbers would be. And about $116 million in interest, and then for the total bond issue of $238 million. And then on the far right is your total estimated debt service requirements with the existing bonds. And then to accomplish this, tonight we're asking you to approve a parameter order. And the parameter order basically says we will not issue more bonds than $125 million in bonds, and we can't exceed the max interest rate of 15%, but we will be in communication with Mr. Gill and Mr. Poppy as we go through this to make sure the market is right. If not, we will hold off and not sell the bonds, but this gives us the authority to time the market if we can, once we have all of our documents and our ratings in place to sell the bonds. And right now, the preliminary schedule, we're looking to sell the bonds about the first or second week of August, so August 9th is what we tentatively put in the schedule here. And then we'll close about 30 days later after we lock in those rates. We'll finish all the documents, get them to Ora Carrington, Rick and Tanya's group, and they'll get those to the AG to get them approved, the documents. And we'll close, and the funds will be delivered about 30 days after we sell the bonds. So in this case, about September 8th. And then I also mentioned that we have an opportunity to refund some bonds. Well, the 2013 bonds have a call date of February 15, 2023, and there's about $104 million in bonds that generate interest cost savings of more than 3%. And you see there on the far right of this graph here that the bonds have an interest rate of 5%, and with the market at 4.35 for 30-year debt is less than that for the 43 maturities we have on here of about probably 4.15, 4.1. So we'll lock in some savings, which is shown here on this page on the far right column. Over the next 20 years, we think we can save about $620,000 a year, or a total of $12,400,000 with a present value savings of 7.813%. And again, it's based on market conditions, and I did put a cushion in there because I would like to under-promise, or over-promise, the other way, under-promise, over-deliver, excuse me. I want to make sure we come in better rates or better savings than we presented here. And to present that, or to accomplish that, we're going to ask you to approve the parameter order again for this. And again, the parameters are not to exceed $125 million in refunding bonds, and we have to exceed 3% net present value savings. Otherwise, we will hold off and find a better time to sell the bonds. Because of the Tax and Job Creation Act of 2017, we cannot refund these bonds outside of 90 days from the call date. So we cannot sell these or deliver these bonds before November 15th of 2020. So we're asking you to approve this now so we get things going, but we will not sell these bonds until November and close in December. So if we can go a little faster than that, we will, but again, we cannot basically sell the bonds prior to November 15th.
But does that lock in the rate?
When we sell the bonds, it will. Tonight, it will not. We have to basically watch the market. Yeah, but again, we cannot, I guess it's delivery before November 15th, so we have to wait to deliver before November 15th.
I mean, because we're anticipating it to be...
We don't have a motion on the floor. You can't ask questions yet. Do I hear a motion to approve this?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Now you can ask your question. You have your answer?
Yeah.
And then the last thing is the swap. And here is kind of a summary of the swap. Since this thing was created in 2005, the district has benefited about $6.1 million, basically on the comparison between the short-term rates you're paying and you're receiving, and we basically synthetically made it a fixed rate. And there's a lot of detail in here, and I'm not going to go through every slide here, but I'm going to kind of give you an overview of it. The Libor rate is one of the rates associated with the swap, and like I said, it's going away in 2023. It was supposed to go away beginning of this year, and they keep extending it because people are going to have to renegotiate all their contracts, which becomes pricey and it becomes cumbersome and takes some time. We have two swap providers associated with the swap. It's Bank of America and Morgan Stanley. JP Morgan is a liquidity provider. But the two swap providers, we'd have to negotiate contracts with them to change those rates, and it would cost some money for the district. So we can either replace the Libor with another index, or we can terminate the existing swap, which is what I think we ought to do, because again, it's becoming, as rates go up, it becomes less beneficial for the district. Also, in addition to that, we have a liquidity agreement or a standby bond purchase agreement with JP Morgan that expires August 29th of this year. And so, and what that liquidity agreement is, it basically allows the district not to be on the hook if we can't remarket those bonds on a weekly basis. If buyers don't show up, they'll step in, buy those bonds for the time being, provide liquidity in the market for the bonds. And it's required by the rating company, it's also required for a market for the bonds. And so we can either extend that liquidity agreement, or we can go out and look for a new one. We've actually been in talks with JP Morgan, and they are willing to extend it for 6 months at the same rate with a simple extension letter at the current cost, and we can actually terminate at any time. So if we go in the market and we sell refunding bonds to refund the 2005 and refunding bonds to fund basically the termination fee for the swap, we can terminate that fee without a cost, or terminate the liquidity without a cost, which is beneficial for the district.
So are they extending that, for example, for our district because we have a good rating?
Well, it's because they know the situation we're in. I mean, they could put us over the barrel, but they're not going to. They understand that we need to do something now because, again, Libor's going away, so it's giving us time to either renegotiate the Libor rate with another index, or basically terminate the swap. But they're doing it because they like the business. And they do like your rating too, but they want to do business with the district.
I was going to say, the rating is a real positive thing.
They also want to do business with the district because you're a good name. But like I said earlier, we have two swap providers, Bank of America and Morgan Stanley. Right now, if we terminate the swap, it's almost $8 million to terminate it because of where the rates are. We're actually negative, so we'd have to pay them about $8 million to get out of these swaps. And currently, the fixed rate we're paying is about 4.429%. So we're budgeting that rate every year on the 2005 bonds. But again, because of the short-term rates, the Libor rate and the SIFMA rate that we're paying and receiving, it actually benefits the district on the short-term basis, but we are paying the 4.429 on a budget basis. And so here's kind of the picture, because I know there's a lot to this, but the existing structure there on the left, we're paying a fixed rate of 4.429 to the swap providers. They're giving us 67% of 1 month Libor, and the actual variable rate is being paid on the bondholders, the 2005 bondholders. If we decide to terminate this, then we give the termination payment to the swap providers, which is in the chart on the right. We issue fixed rate bonds. The 2022 bonds, and then we pay off those bonds. With the 2022 bonds, we pay off the existing 2005 bonds. So the swap is gone, the 2005 bonds are gone, and we have the 2002 bonds that are in their place. Hopefully at lower rates, so we can generate some savings on those bonds. Right now, given the market, this is kind of the bad news. I'm sorry to bring this up, but this is just based on estimates because, again, the termination fee changes on a daily basis like the market does. There on the left on the chart, you have your 2005 debt service, about $97.7 million in total principal and interest. If we refund that, we think we lower that to $93.3 million, which generates savings. But then the termination debt service, we'd have to issue taxable bonds because we can't issue tax-exempt bonds to make a termination payment for the swap, which is $10.9 million. So we actually are generating negative $6.5 million of savings. It's going to cost the district about $500,000 a year based on these numbers. Like I said, these numbers change daily. If the market goes worse, the rates go up, the termination fee goes down. So we got to find the right spot for it. But the good news in this is that if you look at this, we're saving about $620,000. We're about $600,000 in the same years from the refunding we're proposing later in the year. So it will wash each other for a couple of years until 2035. So it'll be positive for the district as a whole financing plan. But again, we'll watch that, and I want to minimize as much as possible because I do not want to have any negative savings in there if possible.
So that slide right there, is that fixed rates on the left side?
On the left side, over here, yes, these are all fixed rates. Yes, this is the fixed at 4.429 that we were talking about, the synthetic fixed rate. And then this is the refunding fixed rate, and this is the taxable refunding fixed rate. And there on the right on the chart, you see the par amounts, premiums have generated, and then the cash deposit of $76.8 million for the refunding of the bonds, and the $8.2 million for the termination payment. And again, that's just a guess at this point because it's changing, and until we decide to lock it in, we'll get the quote, lock in the rates, and then we'll unwind the swap. And so here's basically a summary. Libor's going away, so we need to do something before June 30th of 2023, excuse me. And then we either replace it or terminate the swap. Another one is basically because the liquidity is going away, we need to either substitute with a new provider or just extend it with JP Morgan based on the offer they've already provided us. So I know that's a lot of information. The swap is kind of outside the normal realm of a fixed rate bond issue, which we normally do. But I think it's time to get out of it. I think there's about 3 school districts that have swaps outstanding right now. They're all starting to unwind them now because, again, as rates go up, the cost of the district is higher.
Yeah.
So
The swaps worked very well for a while.
it did. It worked really well. Yes, sir. But I'll be happy to answer any questions you have on the financing plan. I know Mr. Whitty and Ms. Fisher will be happy to answer any questions you have on the legal documents.
Any questions?
So I have a question.
Okay.
So you're saying that so what we're going to owe, basically, to do the swap is going to be paid in some sort of installment yearly?
It will be basically negative savings, so it will be add to your debt service requirements if it's
Okay.
negative. We're hoping it's not. This is based on the rates we ran about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, discussion? Hearing none, the motion was made by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration possible approval of an order authorizing the issuance of Pasadena ISD unlimited tax school building and/or refunding bonds in one or more series, setting certain parameters for the bonds, authorizing a pricing officer to approve the amount, the interest rate, price, including the terms thereof, and certain other procedures and provisions related thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much for y'all being here.
Good to see you, Rick.
Consideration and possible approval of school meal price increase for 2022-2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
So board members, as you know, everything seems to be going up these days, so there is some impact here. We're hoping to hear possibly of an extension, perhaps for a few months, of the free lunch program, but right now we just have the universal free breakfast, and then those that are not on the paid lunch program, they would have these prices.
Any questions?
And do the free and reduced lunch applications, does that parameter change at all?
They will have to do the application this year, so we'll be asking for those as the students register to qualify.
Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Operations section. Consideration and possible approval of the design services agreement with True North Consulting Group for the district-wide safety and security upgrades project included in the 2022 bond program in the amount of $697,950 and a total project budget of $14,850,000.
So moved.
Oh, boy. Motion by Mr. Phelan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion?
So we also have with us the CEO, Tony, and I hope I do your name justice, Chodjel. I'm not going to do it right. You just say it, sir.
Chanowski.
There you go. Okay. So he is here representing, of course, True North Consulting Group.
Anyone have any questions?
So I do. So earlier there was an announcement about funding for safety and security. Do you know if any of this will be refundable? Is that possible?
So what I read was they're putting that money directly into police training, also police shields. They're putting that money into some mental health opportunities, but none of that money is coming directly to any school districts. It's all going to different organizations.
Yep.
Thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the design services agreement with Brooks and Sparks, Inc. for the football field synthetic turf conversion at 5 high schools. Project included in the 2022 bond program in the amount of $409,040.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? Pardon?
Randy Sparks is here, the
Yes.
CEO, and Brian Reed, the senior project manager.
Glad to see you guys.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. We've done business with Brooks and Sparks for years and years, and we certainly appreciate continuing.
Over 3 decades.
Yes.
Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization AEA number 016 for the new maintenance operations and warehouse facility project in the credit amount of $51,885.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization AEA number 024 for the new maintenance operations and warehouse facility project in the amount of $127,747.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Phelan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization AEA number 30 for the new administration building replacement project in the amount of $29,823.
So moved.
Second.
Was that you, Mr. Kendrick? Okay. Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization AEA number 22 for the new administration building replacement project in the credit amount of $5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Phelan, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We like those credit amounts. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization, AEA number 18, for the new administration building replacement project in the amount of $35,354.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
The drive certainly does look nice.
Yeah, and if you've been by, the crane is out there, and as of yesterday, there were 3 or 4 panels up. I'm sure there was progress
Yes.
today as well.
Great.
Good news. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Construction update, and this is for information only. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move to the miscellaneous section, and that is public comments according to BED Local related to topics not listed on the agenda. Andy Garcia will speak on sex education, and then followed by Ms. Jen Rabe, who will speak on teen sleep linked to student mental health and school safety. This portion of public comment is for speakers who are addressing topics not listed on tonight's agenda. We ask that all speakers refrain from using profane or vulgar language. Complaints about an individual student and/or employee should seek resolution through the district's grievance process outlined in the applicable Pasadena ISD Board Policy, DGBA, FNG, or GF. Along those lines, we ask that speakers respect the privacy rights of others, and in doing so, refrain from naming employees and/or students during the public comment portion of the agenda. Titles may be used instead. Remember, this admonition goes for positive or negative comments. Each person will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and I've asked Mr. Phelan if he will time keep, and he'll indicate when you have 1 minute left. So, we are going to begin with Mr. Andy Garcia. Hi, Andy.
Hi. Superintendent and board members, good evening. I'm Andy Garcia. I'm a graduate of Pasadena Memorial High School, as well as a young alumnus of Columbia University, and I'm now a permanent community member here of Pasadena. I come before you all today to briefly speak on the topic of sex education in our school district, given the Supreme Court's recent overturning of Roe v. Wade and its associated protections. I admit that I'm not familiar with the district's current practices on sex education. However, I strongly believe that the current state of affairs warrants a prompt revisiting of how sex education is carried out in this school district and all Texas school districts for that matter. The consequences of a teen pregnancy in the state are now more dire than any other point in recent history. With respect to women's bodily autonomy and the right to choose, Roe v. Wade and its protections are all that my generation, and really anyone born after 1973, has ever known. It is not my place, nor do I wish to provide recommendations to this board, though I strongly urge each of you to spend some time in the coming weeks assessing how this ruling can and will affect some of the students that this large school district serves. As the leaders driving the decisions of Pasadena ISD, it rests upon you to set a vision for the appropriate curricular changes that will impact and drive student success. I hope that by bringing the topic up, this will be incorporated into your discussions in the coming weeks if it has not been already. In closing, I'd like to affirm that I speak on behalf of all community members who want nothing more than individual success for all of our students despite any challenges they may face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Now we have Ms. Jen Rabe. And again, Mr. Phelan will time you and give you indication when you have 1 minute left.
Okay. Good evening, board members and superintendent. My name is Yen Rabe, and I'm an educator and the Houston area chapter leader for Start School Later. It's a national organization bringing awareness to teen sleep deprivation when school starts in the early 7 a.m. I would like to speak about sleep deprivation and how it is linked to school safety and mental health, because it is doubtful that the Santa Fe and Uvalde student shooters got enough sleep. Can lack of sleep cause aggression in students? A study in the April 7th issue of the Archives of Pediatric and Adolescent Medicine shows that child's sleep problems can have an impact. Children who get less sleep than their peers have a higher risk of anxiety, depression, suicide, and aggressive behavior. The CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics recommend that middle and high schools start no earlier than 8 a.m. so that students can get the 9 to 10 hours of sleep they need, whereas adults need only 7 to 8 hours. When PISD high schools changed the start time from 7:50 to 7:15 in 2007, I thought students would just have to sleep earlier, and board members said the same. Well, they don't. They sleep when they're tired, and that can be from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And then how do they cope with sleep deprivation? Often with energy drinks and coffee, which is more toxic than LSD, speed, and marijuana, as illustrated in the figure in this book. It's too small to see, but I recommend that you get this book, and it's a great summer read, really good. I hope it'll put you to sleep. And the title is called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. When students start at 7:15 in high school, it is like adults starting work at 5:15 a.m. I challenge administrators and board members to start work at 5:15 every day to see how it would feel. The school board approved to update millions of dollars to update security systems. Further investment in school security and students' mental health may not be necessary when we have a later start time for high school for students to get enough sleep. Instead, the district would receive more money from attendance, and there would be an increase in lifetime earnings for our students because they would learn more. Let's do what is right for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robbie. Okay, we need to set the date for our next regular meeting. Suggested date is Tuesday, July 26, 2022.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Phelan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. No further business to come before this board. We thank you for being here, and this meeting is adjourned.